Hi guys! Today we are going to make number block 30, and here I've got my 30 wooden blocks and I've just lined them up and I'm making sure they're all smooth to one side, and we're just going to get a picture of number 30 popping up over here. So that's what we're trying to make today. And I've got my trusty Gorilla wood glue. This is my favourite glue for gluing the blocks together. I just think it works really well. Once it's dry, it tends to stay together even if you drop it. So I'm just going to stick these pieces together, and my new thing is to do it row by row and then add the bricks individually on top of them. It just makes it a little bit easier to do, like that. Tiny bit of glue, not too much because it tends to squeeze out at the sides. So when it's still wet at this point, it feels quite slippy. It feels like it's not going to hold it, but as long as you let it dry overnight, it will definitely be fine once it's dried. I'm getting more glue here. You can do this with the applicator. This is what I did. It's my very first brick that I made, which is why I did it. You can also use like a paintbrush to apply the glue. It actually is a little bit neater if you do it like that. And you can also wear gloves. See, oh, too much glue, squelch. There you go, I just wipe that away. And you have to keep wiping the glue off your fingers because it keeps sticking. And we're doing another row there, kind of getting closer, a bit more. So when I've squirted too much glue on, I just take a little bit off with the other brick and then stick it on. There you go. At this point I moved to the cotton bud or Q-tip, just because it made it a little bit easier to apply. And I just snacked on every layer, bit one by one. And there you go, we've got one more layer to do on top here. Oh, and there you go, there's our 30. So we're doing 3 rows of 10. Oh wait, there's another layer, there you go. And I'm just pressing it together to make it straight. Oh, here's our picture of 30, there you go. Looking very nice. The 30 is that kind of, it's a yellowy, browny, almost like a greeny colour. It's quite an unusual colour because it's just not a regular bright yellow. So I'm mixing together some bright yellow paint in here into my paint pot. And I'm just going to eyeball this and try and mix a similar shade, a little dot of green. Oh, sorry, it's a little bit brown because I think it is a little bit off yellow, and white to lighten up because it's a light yellow. And let's give that a mix. See what kind of colour we end up with. And because this finished number block is quite big, it's definitely worth mixing up enough paint and a dot of green in there. See, that green seems to make it a little bit closer to the colour. Yeah, I think that's fairly close. The other thing to remember is that when the paint dries, it tends to go a little bit darker. So here's my pre-mixed colour. And I've got some grease-proof paper on there so I don't make a mess, and I'm just going to paint it. I'm going to slather it all over the number block, front, back and the side. This is of course 24 hours after the block's been glued together, just to make sure everything's stuck together nicely. And I'm doing the sides as well. And I will later on be doing a second coat to make sure it's nice and even. There you go, it's nice and dry. Left it for 24 hours, and here is the second coat, and I still have some of that paint left over, which is great because it means I don't have to colour match it again. So this is why it's worth mixing up enough paint in the pot. Just adding another layer, smoothing out any bits that don't look smooth with my large paintbrush. So at this size we definitely can't use the Posca pens for these ones because they're just too big. And then one more day later and our second coat is dry. This is not a very quick process. I'm going to pick the nicest looking side to be the front, which is this one. And here I've got my darker yellow. And I'm going to mix it up with a bit of another shade of yellow. And I'm just trying to get the right kind of yellow to draw on the lines in between, which we've done on the other number blocks too. So getting this bright, it's brand new, this one, I bought it for this project, so I'm just going to screw the lid off, and I'm going to squirt some of that to one side on the greaseproof paper, which is great because it's going in the bin afterwards, and a bit of the brownie yellow as well. I'm going to mix these together and then start tracing on the lines. So give it that a mix to see how close the colour is. You could also do this in a pot, but because I don't need as much of it, I thought I'll just mix it on the side. It should be enough to do this project. So first up, I'm going to paint the edges, because of course with the big number blocks, the edges are the darker shade. So it's just going on the sides there, one side and the bottom. Now I forgot to do the bottom, but it doesn't matter. Do you know what? We can just do 2 coats of the darker yellow and it will look absolutely fine. And on the other side as well. So you see it's gone slightly over the edges, but that's okay because these big number blocks do have a bit of colour on the outside edges, so we can just smooth this out with a paintbrush. Here's my super fine paintbrush that I used for all the big number blocks. And then I'm just going to fill in the little lines. Now you could use actually a Posca paint pen with this bit if you want. You could use a ruler too and get really straight lines. So it's totally up to you how you want to do it, but I just thought I would mix up the paint myself and that I would do it this way. So just doing all my horizontal lines and then we'll do the vertical lines as well. And doing those outer edges, and then we'll do the top of number 30. Okay, now we've finished, and then that's the face traced out on some paper. Now if I could do this again, I would just trace it on straight onto card. But not to worry, I've got the perfect shade here. I'm just colouring in the eyes. This paper is a little bit thin. I think definitely use card. I'm going to trace in the mouth, which is red. And let's add the details, which is easy to do when you're using felt tips. So I started to outline the features and I thought, you know what, it doesn't need it, so I stopped there. But it's okay because when we cut it out, we can just cut out those black outlines I just did. And let's do the crown also. And then I am with my card stock and I'm just cutting out the face, and I'm going to do what I did last time, which is glue it onto the card with some Pritt stick, or any kind of glue stick is fine. And really squeeze that down, and then you can cut them out with your scissors. Now because this is quite detailed, a small pair of precision scissors are definitely better for doing these small bits, but this is all I had to hand. So as I'm trimming this out, you can see I'm trimming off the black outline that I did because I thought, you know, it doesn't look quite right. And one eye, and then I will cut out the second eye. Perfect. So now looking at my the body of number 30, it is completely dry now. I'm going to use Mod Podge, which is a sealer, which just protects the colour, and it just means it's a little bit more resistant to weather or if it got wet and things. So I'm just going to slather this on all around the number block 30, on the sides, on the back, and it feels almost like a bit of glue, to be honest with you, but it does help. And I'm using the matte version rather than the glossy. another day and it's finally dry. So then what we're going to do is we're going to glue. I'm going to use the wood glue, but again you can use hot glue, you can use super glue, and I'm going to line these up based on how it looks in the picture. I'm going to get these stuck down, and there you go, there's Numberblock 30 all finished. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and let me know if you give it a go, and remember to subscribe. See you again next time. Goodbye.